Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create this simple nameplate that's going to be cut out on the plasma CNC machine. So let's start by go ahead and opening up a new file. So I opened up a new file. I created my file size 16 by 16. That's what I have to work with here. I do have my image that I'm going to use already traced. If you want to watch that video first, go ahead and watch that. But this is the image I'm going to use that I'm going to add to my nameplate. So first thing I want to do in creating this is I want to go ahead and I just want to draw out a rectangle and place that in the middle of my material. So I'm going to grab the draw rectangle tool. There's a couple options as far as what I can do. I can type in the size that I want, or I can just come over here and I can start to draw out my rectangle. What I do want to do is I do want to size this very specifically. So I'm going to make mine 15 3/4, so 15.75 inches long, and I'm going to make it 5 inches tall. Now you can see I've typed those in, but nothing's happened over here to my rectangle. So I need to make sure I click that apply button. So you can see it's drawn out my rectangle. Now I do want to round over these corners here. So I'm going to select radius external, and I click apply, and you can see that's going to round them over. I want a little bit of a larger round over, so I'm going to change that radius to a 1/2 inch. I'm going to click apply. If I wanted to do an internal radius, all right, I can select that. I can click apply. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger than that. I'm going to go 3/4. And again, every time I make a change, I click that apply button. So I've got that all drawn out. Now I want to center this on the page. So I'm going to click close. While it's still selected, I'm going to click the align selected objects, and I'm going to go over here and I want to center this on my material. So under align to material, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to go ahead and center that on my page. And I click close to close out of that. Now if you look at the original here, it has kind of this band that goes around. So what I want to do is I want to create another rectangle that's inside that. So I've got two options on how to do that. I can draw out another rectangle and center it, or what I can do is I can offset this. So I'm going to go down here to the offset selected vectors. I'm going to select that. I can offset it to the outside, so that would be to the outside here. I can offset it to the inside, so that would be offsetting it to the inside. Or I can offset on both, so that would put a line on the outside as well as the inside. I want to offset to just the inside. I want to set my distance. I'm going to set mine to 5/8, so 0.625. I do want to create sharp offset corners, and I'm just going to click that offset button. And you can see that's going to go ahead and offset that for me. So I'm going to click close to close out of that. So now that I've got my two lines here, all right, this band is going to be left. I want to go ahead and add my text here for the middle. All right, so what I want to do now is go over to my text tool, and I'm going to select that. I'm going to type out, all right, what I want it to say, and I'm going to click apply. And you can see it's added my text. All right, I'm going to just drag this, make this a little bit larger for now. All right, now I can go through and I can change the text that I want. All right, I can select a new text, I click apply, and you can see it'll change that. All right, apply, it'll change it. I can make the text bold, so I can click bold, I can click apply. All right, I can make it bold and italic. Apply. All right. So this is where you want to kind of play around with what text you want. I'm going to actually keep this text. I kind of like the look of it. So actually, I think I'll use this one right here. I'll use this text. So I've got my text selected. All right. Now, if I were to cut this out, it would cut this out and it would just fall through. So I want to make sure that my text is actually connected to this band that goes around. So I'm going to close out of that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that this is centered on the page. Since this is all centered, I also want to make sure that this is centered as well. All right. So I'm going to select it, and I just want to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so it's a little bit easier to see. If I grab this corner and I hold the Shift key, it will enlarge it proportionally. All right. Now, if you look, if I keep going, all right, in order for it to intersect with this line here and this line here, my page has kind of come off. So now what I'm going to do is I've got that. I'm going to hold the Shift key again, and I'm going to drag the sides in. It is going to distort my text a little bit, but what that's going to do is that's going to make sure that it's overlapping. You want to make sure that every letter is touching both the top and the bottom. All right. So now that I've got that, all right, what I need to do is I need to trim both of these lines so this top band is connected to the letter. So to do that, the first thing I need to do is I need to convert. All right, if you look, see how this is a dotted line? This is a vector line. This right here is a solid line. I need to convert that into a dotted line. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this and I need to convert this to curves. So that's going to be this button right here. It says Convert Object to Curves. And you're going to see it's going to change that over to a dotted line. Now I can come through. Let me show you that again. So now I can come through and I can trim off these lines. So I'm going to use the interactive vector trim. This is a pair of scissors. So I'm going to click on that. And now if you look, scissors are closed. You can't do anything. When the scissors open up, it's going to be able to trim those lines. So I'm just going to go through and trim out all of those intersecting lines. So once this is done, it's going to connect all these to this outside line and make it, if you look, I accidentally trimmed a little too much. I just hit Control Z. I'm going to trim all these off here. Now, one thing with this text is there's a little bit of an issue. If I zoom in, you can see how my vector lines kind of come up and loop around. The problem with this is the plasma cutter is going to cut along this line and loop around. So I need to trim off all of these as well. So I'm going to go around and trim those off now and just clean this up. Okay, so I've got my image all cleaned up, and now what I want to do is I'm going to add the soccer ball up to the top here. So I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to move this down to the bottom of my material, and I'm just using the arrow key to do that. Now I'm going to grab my image, and again, if you need to see how to import and process an image, go ahead and watch that video. I'm going to bring this over, and I want to make sure that that's going to connect, so it's going to overlap here. I'm going to add it right here. I will make it a little bit larger because I've got the room. Let's actually see if we can center it a little bit better. I think that looks pretty good. Now what I need to do is I need to trim this line here and this line here. Now if you look, it won't let me trim. Alright, I can trim. If I look, I'm clicking, but nothing's happening. So what I need to do is I have to ungroup my soccer ball. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go down to ungroup objects. Alright, ungroup objects onto original layer, that's fine. So now it's a dotted line. I've got a dotted line here. I can go ahead and trim both of those lines there. So now everything's connected. Alright, last thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and click that save button. It's going to save my work. Alright. So last thing I need to do is I need to export this as a DXF. So I've got what I want. I will need to export this as a DXF and then turn in the DXF file into Schoology. So what I want to do is I want to select my entire image. I'm going to go over here to File. I'm going to go down to Export. And I'm going to go over to Selected Vectors to DXF. Now, what this is going to do is export this as a DXF file. So I'm going to keep the name the same. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Save. And again, this is saving to my drive. So now that I've got that, last thing I need to do is go into Schoology and submit the DXF file as well as this Corel draw file. So you need to submit both files. That's it, and then we'll head to the plasma cutter and cut them out. Thanks a lot.